I personally believe, and I'm not saying it will happen or it has happened, but I personally believe that he has the potential to have one of the greatest impacts of any athlete, in the modern era. That includes LeBron James. Here's why. Steph Curry, 6'3", lanky, baby-face assassin. You look at a guy like LeBron James, for example, very smart, brilliant, I might add, 6'8", 260, freak of nature. You marvel at his greatness and his athleticism and all of those different things. But there's a part about LeBron James that you don't identify with because you know you could never be him. He's not that you can't be that physical specimen. You can't be that great, that dominant. He's from the streets, obviously, of Akron, Ohio, impoverished background and all of that other stuff, and you can identify with that, which makes you appreciate his philanthropy even more. But in the case of Steph Curry, again, similar to Allen Iverson in the fact that Allen Iverson was 6'1", and you looked at him and his size, and he was more relatable from a physical standpoint. But in the case of Steph Curry, it goes significantly deeper. Yes, he came from a relatively affluent background. He's relatively mild-mannered. He has God in his life. Religion's a part of his life. He's non-offensive and non-threatening. I'm going to go here. He's light-skinned. It helps because when you talk about somebody being embraced and having mass appeal, Steph Curry has the potential to generate mass appeal more than the average typical athlete that we've known, we've heard from, and has had a voice. So if Steph Curry is willing to tackle issues, highly sensitive issues, he can do so in a way that the masses are incredibly receptive to hearing and are more willing to embrace because of who he is, how he carries himself, his pedigree, combined with his greatness as a basketball player. The leaps that you have to take to embrace that kind of mentality when it comes to LeBron, Jordan, Shaq, Kobe, and so many others. You don't have to take those leaps in order to do that when it comes to embracing Steph Curry because you're inclined to and more receptive to embracing him from Jump Street as opposed to him working to get you to that point because of everything that encompasses Steph Curry.
Yeah, I think Steph has a real chance to do big things, but not just because of his size, Stephen A., or the fact that he's light-skinned, as you said. It's that, because Allen Iverson, you said, was also short for a basketball player. But Allen Iverson had otherworldly, obvious athletic ability. And you can describe athletic ability as hand-eye coordination or speed or whatever. But the way we generally have the gut reaction to athletic ability, we're usually talking about speed and dexterity and those kind of things and leaping ability in basketball and stuff. And when you watched Iverson, you're like, oh my God, he's a next level athlete. He was the #1 guy in football and basketball in high school, in the country, at his size. So Steph, I think kids can relate to in a way they don't relate, forget about LeBron James, even Allen Iverson. Because Steph, not just that he has a baby face and he's small, he's not the fastest. He doesn't jump the highest. He's obviously not the strongest. The things that he does well on the court are relatable because every coach, every kid getting coaching right now across the country, you practice your shot, you can practice your handles, right? These are things that you can work on to improve, or so the story goes. And it's true, you can somehow get there. And when they see Steph, the kids relate to him because the skills that he brings that made him the 2-time MVP and a champion now, twice over, are things that on some level, whether it's true or not, feel accessible. If I keep practicing my shot, if I keep practicing my handles, I can also do what Steph does. Now, he's very quick and all these things, and he is 6'3", he's not 5'8", but at least that's the way kids relate to him. And I have not seen an NBA player to whom kids relate more than to Steph Curry. It is astounding. Kids
Yeah,
love
they're all
Steph.
wearing Under Armour because of him, like the elementary school.
And by the way, he can obviously use that to maneuver with his own kind of business platform, and he has. But it's good to see that he also wants to use it, to use his kind of accessibility and the fact that kids really dig him, to make the world a better place. That's great. Good for Steph.